Welcome back. In today's video, we're going to take a look at count rows in Power Automate. I was going through my channel and I realized that I do a lot of Power Automate, but it's usually part of my full app builds. And I'm going to start putting together some Power Automate videos that just focus on specific tasks using Power Automate. And I'll throw those into my Power Automate playlist. That way they're easy to find. But if you're looking to how to put things together, you're definitely going to check out some of the full app builds I've done on my channel, whether it's the SharePoint ones or the Dataverse or model-driven apps. I usually have quite a few Power Automate tricks built into those, but a lot of times I show you one way, and there's actually several different ways you can do some of these things. So I do want to start doing specifically Power Automate, how to do certain things. Go ahead and leave a comment if there are specific things in Power Automate that you'd like me to do on the channel, and I'll take a look at putting a video together to cover those. Now, don't forget, if you like this kind of content, hit that like and subscribe. It really does help the channel grow. All right, let's go ahead and jump right in. So before we jump into the actual flow, which is really easy to build, I wanted to explain some situations in where count rows might be used, or you might find it helpful. So a lot of times you use it to check whether the matching record even exists. So you can kind of quickly determine what you want to do next based off of whether it exists, and you can use like a condition after that. Prevent duplicate submission. So if the record does already exist, then just kind of stop the flow there so you don't do duplicate additions in there. Send summary emails. This is a really popular option because you can pull a list of exactly how many are out there that are maybe required action, and then send the person a customized email that says this is how many actions that they've got in their queue to work on, essentially. Trigger different actions based on the workload. So depending on the number, maybe it requires a different action. So you can kind of determine that and trigger other actions based off the number. Validate the completion of tasks. So maybe you're trying to determine, has everything already been completed? And then if it has, then maybe that's the end of it, or otherwise something happens off of that. Count the approvals or the responses. It could also just be to create dashboard metrics. Maybe you need to put it into a dashboard, and that's always an option there as well. And then avoid unnecessary loops. So maybe you are trying to do something if records exist, and if there isn't, then it just kind of stops that loop from continuing. Confirm filters are working correctly. I actually use this all the time. And a great example of this is I'd built the flow for something I was working on, and it was working great. And then all of a sudden I started getting emails about flow failures, and I went and opened it up, and I could not for the life of me figure out what was causing it to fail under certain circumstances. And what it turned out to be is I was actually shrinking down the length of a name, and I had never thought that a person was going to have a single character name. A good example is like DJ, right? So when you hear DJ, you think that's two characters, it's not a single character. Well, there was a person that had a single character name, and I don't recall the specific initial, but essentially it was like TJ, and T was the first name, J was the middle name, and then their last name. I had never anticipated that. So when I built that flow, it didn't occur to me to build a test and confirm that for a one character that this was going to work, and that was causing the flow to fail. So these work great as, is the filter correct? Or maybe it's just a syntax thing and you're putting your filters, maybe you're getting familiar with how to actually formulate those filters, and you want to make sure that you actually are seeing all the records that you're supposed to see based off of a filter. And the count rows is a great option to throw that in there to just get a visual indicator. Okay, the number of rows matches. And then also just to stop the flow when there's nothing else to do. Now, those are the most common. There's probably some other things that I'm not thinking of, but those are some of the more common uses for how you might do this. You could also return that information to a Power App that you're creating. So that might be, I guess, number 11 is just to return a number count based off of a flow to your app. And again, you could use that inside of a visualization also. So I guess that would maybe be step 11 there is return something back to your application. All right, now that we've covered some of the reasons that you might want to use count rows, let's go ahead and jump into actually creating a count rows flow. All right, so here is Power Automate. Now, before we go to Power Automate, let's go ahead and take a look at our data sources so we know what we're going to be looking at. I'm actually going to show you how to do it two different ways. I'm going to show you with SharePoint. So this is going to be the SharePoint list, and it's got about 17 items in it. So not a lot of items, but that'll give us an understanding of whether it's working. And then also we want to look at a Dataverse table. Now, in this Dataverse table, there's about 11 items in here. So again, not a lot of stuff. It doesn't really matter on the on how much stuff is in here for creating this flow. A lot of times you're going to filter it down. I'm not going to show you how to filter down your different SharePoint or Dataverse connectors. That'll maybe be in a different video if that makes sense to do that. I'm really just focusing on the count rows this time. So, all right, let's go ahead and we're going to do an instant cloud flow for this one. And we'll just do a manual trigger and create that in here. And let's go ahead and change the name. And this will just be, I don't know, count rows demo. And we don't need to do anything here. What we're going to start with is SharePoint. So let's go find our SharePoint connector here. And what we're going to do is get our items. And we're going to find our SharePoint list. And that is our Office Solutions Pro 2 here. And that'll be our requested projects. And that's all we're going to do. Now let's go ahead and add our compose and use the compose to do the count. So let's pull this up here. And for our inputs, we're going to use an expression. So let's go ahead and click this. Now, I don't always like using the new designer, but I got to say for working with expressions, the new designer is definitely the better option. And all we're going to do is I just copy and paste this in here. Again, I generally figure out how to make all this stuff work, and then I record it into OneNote, and that way I don't have to try to remember how to do everything every single time, or just for that matter, type it out and potentially get a typo or something else. So this is usually the easier approach for me. But all we do is get the length of our output of our get items. Now, if we change the name of this, all we have to do is, add the underscore for spaces and then make sure that it matches whatever the name that we put on here. And then we put our question mark here and then body value. So we're trying to get from the body of this the length. And essentially what's going to tell us is how many rows of data are part of this. Now, all we have to do is hit the add button on here. And let's go ahead and add another one in here. And for this one, it's going to be our Dataverse. So we're going to get our Microsoft Dataverse, and we're going to use list rows. And part of the reason that we're going to do this is just for showing how the format might change if we have different data sources, or how it doesn't change based on our data sources. And let's go ahead and add this in here. And let's go ahead and, again, we're going to do a compose. And then let's go ahead and put in our expression. Now I'm going to go ahead and paste this in here, but obviously it's not get items. So we need to change this. So what we're going to change it to is list. And then we're going to change it to rows. And again, if we did change the name of this, we would just change the name to match whatever we put in here. For example, this I would probably rename to like list rows tracker or something like that. And this one, same thing as requested projects, just so I know exactly what each of those is doing. And then we hit the add button here. Now, one thing I will mention in here is if you have a SharePoint list that has more than 5,000 items, you can run into issues with that. That is one of those issues with SharePoint. That's why a lot of times I don't recommend using SharePoint, is that you've got a 5,000 item list threshold here. And for Dataverse, what we would do is go into our settings here and just turn on the pagination option here. And then you can increase this threshold up to 100,000. And that usually is plenty, but a lot of times, and it's always going to give us a warning, and we'll see that here in a second, it wants you to limit both of these down. So you would want to put in some kind of a filter. So if we go ahead and show all here, we can have a filter here. And then we can do the same thing here, is have a filter in here as well. Now, since I didn't put a number in there, I'm getting an error. So we're going to take that off there. But you would want to put in a filter here so you're not getting every single item. But if you do need every single item and you're just trying to understand how much is inside the SharePoint list, you can increase this. If you create a flow like this and you're only getting numbers like 5,000, or it's clearly not matching what you know your list has, then likely the outcome is that you're hitting a cap and you have to either turn on pagination or use a different approach for getting the numbers. Again, a lot of times they don't recommend using SharePoint for more than 5,000 items. That will be much better handled through a Dataverse approach. And Dataverse actually has other things you can do, especially when you're talking about potentially millions of records. There are other ways to get counts if you needed a count of every single record in the Dataverse list there. All right, let's go ahead and test this. So we'll save. And again, we're going to get warnings because we didn't filter these down. So if we look at that, we're going to see trying to limit this is a better option here. And we can ignore those. And let's just go ahead and test this out now. And we'll do our manual check, hit test. And let's go ahead and hit continue. and run our flow. All right, and we can see it is successful. Now let's go ahead and look at our compose output here. And we see 17, that matches correctly. And then we should see 11 here, and there we go. So it is just that easy to count rows. Now, if you like this kind of content, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. It really does help the channel grow. Now, like I said earlier in the video, I'm going to start focusing a little bit on Power Automate because there's a whole bunch of concepts I've covered as part of videos that are probably better as standalone videos, so that when you're looking how to do something, when you do a search for that something, hopefully my videos will come up, or at the very least, you'll be able to go to the playlist for Power Automate and you'll be able to see all the different things that I've got in there. So I'm going to start doing some of the things I've done as part of the whole app builds. And I'm going to put some of those things in their own standalone videos just to make it easier for you to find those particular actions. And then when I do cover stuff like lookup fields in Dataverse and how to do updates of those, I might cover a couple of different options that might work for you. There are a couple different approaches that I use in practice. Sometimes they work better. Sometimes they're just easier to do a certain approach over another approach. But I do want to show you a couple different options. So if one isn't working for you, that you'll have the other options to consider. For count rows, this is kind of the easiest and most reliable approach out there. So this is probably the one that most people will use for counting rows. That's it for today. Hope you found the content helpful. Until next time.